40. Look at that move. Look at Chase go. Oh, my goodness. What a gear.
He comes down to this in his car end zone. Intercepted.
McPherson. And Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl.
Cross here. Mixon's going to throw. Open man. Caught. Higgins. Touchdown.
Drives. Touchdown. Joe Burrow has his first rushing touchdown of the season.
Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Mon. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. Mon, the aftermath show, one that you never look forward to. Obviously, a tough, still, I mean, it's still lingering, and it will be for a while, just like it was last year. But we got to get through it. We're here for all you Bengal fans. We are going to talk a little bit about wrapping up the season today, maybe a couple of the important things that need to go on in this offseason. And Mon, how has your week been? Mine's been a little bit different. How's yours been?
It's been very, very busy. I decided to work a lot, try to get the Bengal game out of my head. I worked a few shifts of overtime and, just plugging away. And it's been really active at work. And it's helped. It's helped because it still stings, that Bengal loss, because I really think a couple plays here and there, and we're talking about a Super Bowl appearance. And we'll talk a little bit more about that couple plays that really stick out for me. I'm not going to talk about officiating right now. But yeah, it's good to record the show, and like I said, this is therapeutic, and let's get ready for the off season and make this Bengal team better.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. And for me, if you guys do not know, to our listeners, I have been blessed to be offered a head coaching job up in Northern Kentucky. And thank you. I'm very excited. I accepted, and I'm going to be full-time up here in about a week and a half. So I'm very excited. So for all of our listeners in the Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, half of the Bengals Pulse is now going to be part of your community. And I'm over the moon. I'm so excited. I'm ready for Reds baseball. I feel very blessed. I feel very honored, and I'm excited to get going up here.
Congratulations, Jake. It's really exciting, and I'm happy for you. And you're 10, 15 minutes from the motherland. So
I am.
Get that basement ready, because I'm going to be coming up a lot.
I'm about 15 minutes from Paycor, so it's exciting for sure. And yes, and now you guys will have a place to stay when you come up, so that's exciting. So and for our listeners, once I get situated and stuff, I would love you guys. Some of you guys to show me around town, and like I said, I'm just really excited and ready to get going here. I'm at an incredible high school. I've been there for the last couple of days, getting to know the parents and the players and the faculty and the admin and the support staff. And it is so awesome up here. I'm just at an incredible high school with incredible support, and I just cannot wait to get ready and get going here. So, but let's talk some Bengals football, Mon. Obviously, reflecting back on the game, and it's nice because we've had a little time to do that now. Give me two key moments in the game that you think really were detrimental to the Bengals not playing this upcoming weekend in Arizona.
Jake, there's a handful of games, but there are a couple that stick out, a couple plays. And listen, the saying, football is a game of inches, and it truly, truly is. 3rd and 10, Pat Mahomes goes back to pass, and he ends up finding Valdez-Scantling for a touchdown over the middle of the field, and Mike Hilton was in coverage. If you look at the replay, I haven't watched the whole game, but I have watched some of the key replays. The ball literally goes over his forearm that much. It was that close to being tipped. And guess what? That would be a field goal attempt for the Chiefs. Another play, Joe Burrow's second interception. He wasn't comfortable in the pocket. He was getting some pressure up the middle, and he underthrew the ball to T. Higgins. Another yard, yard and a half. That's a touchdown pass to T. Higgins. That's an 11-point swing on those two plays. It was that close to being a touchdown to T. Higgins. Those two really stand out to me. There's others, but football is a game of inches, and it's just amazing how if one of those occurred, we could be talking about back-to-back Super Bowl appearances for the Cincinnati Bengals. It didn't happen. This team just needs to move forward now. The fans need to move forward. And I do replay those over and over in my head. There's nothing we can do about it now, but those are the two for me.
So I'm going to give you my two. My first one is the fourth down play to Travis Kelce for a touchdown. Again, you look at certain moments in the game where guys have to make plays, and they let Mahomes get outside the pocket. It was fourth and 1, 4th and 2. They had the pressure. They had everything that you needed to have there. And, we just the coverage, you could tell there was some confusion before the snap. But obviously, to me, that's a huge play. That the Bengals make that stop there. That's 7 points off the board. And we're not even really we're talking about the Super Bowl right now. We're not talking about offseason stuff. And then the other one too, I'll tell you, right before half, the Bengals get down to the 4-yard line. And, as a coach, I get that you're trying to attack and you don't want to give the Chiefs an opportunity to get settled. But instead of clocking the ball on first down, they try to throw a back shoulder to T. Higgins, and the whole play was just disrupted from the very beginning. For me, I'm going to clock that ball. I'm going to huddle up. I'm going to make sure we have the right play. And if you clock the ball there, Mon, you might have an extra down to take a shot in the end zone. So instead of having 2 shots in the end zone, the Bengals could have had 3 shots there. Instead, they let the clock run. They tried to run another play. Again, it's all hearsay, but to me, the Travis Kelce touchdown and that first down and second down possession inside of the Chiefs' 5-yard line right before halftime were just brutal. Both of those moments, the Bengals have to do better there.
I agree with you on that fourth quarter, that 90-plus yard drive that led to a field goal right before halftime. They were talking about that, Jay Morrison and Paul Daner, and I think Daner brought up a great point. There was a questionable spot. It should have been a first down. They made it 3rd and 1 for the Bengals.
Yes.
The Bengals decided to burn a timeout because they had to think about it. And it was really questionable. It should have been a first down. The Bengals could have come up and just clocked it. They would have had that extra down. But I guess one of the reporters did ask Zach Taylor about that. He said that if he had another second or two, he would have tried one more play in the end zone. But they kicked the field goal with only 4 seconds left. They needed a minimum of 5 to 6 seconds to run another play. Yeah, that right there could have been another 4 points. I agree with you on the Travis Kelce one also, but he bodied Jesse Bates on that and ended up getting that touchdown. Listen, football is a absolute game of inches, and we saw that firsthand. There's so many little things. If one of those plays that we both mentioned just turned out in the Bengals' favor, that's all we needed, just one play.
I know.
And we'd be talking about a Bengals Super Bowl versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The time to move on.
Time to move on.
Yeah,
move on.
I'm just it's getting better every day. Really, it's tough to digest because we were that close to going back. But listen, the Bengals are an elite team, and we're going to be here. We're going to be talking about things like this for the next few years. So.
Well, let's talk about some things that you and I think need to happen for us to continue to be an elite team from here on forward. But yes, I'm with you. We do have to move on. And listeners, please Let us know what you think are some of the big plays that, if they win a different way, possibly could have changed the outcome of the AFC Championship game. We want to hear your comments as well. So make sure you comment in the comment section and let us know some plays that you think you would like to have seen go the other way. Mon, let's talk a little bit about the offseason. Again, we have plenty of time to talk about the draft and free agency and everything that's going on. But let's talk about a couple things real quick that you think possibly are things that the Bengals really need to start focusing on. Obviously, right now, the big talk is, how are the Bengals going to re-sign all these guys, right? How are we going to keep this team together when we have so many other things that we have to look at as far as future contracts go? So, Mon, tell me, first, I want to hear from you. What are a couple of your key offseason moves right now that you think the Bengals need to make?
Good question, Jake. There's so much. Obviously, the key cog is going to be Joe Burrow. They need to get that extension signed as soon as possible.
Yes,
Because
agreed.
all the other pending moves are going to be put on hold until that gets done. I'm going to predict first week in March that he'll sign a new contract. Free agency starts, I believe, the second week in March.
Yes.
Guys like Von Bell, potentially trying to re-engage with Jesse Bates or Jermaine Pratt. Those are all going to get put on hold until Joe Burrow's final numbers are calculated. That's obviously the number one thing. Something I want done. I know we're going to talk about the draft multiple times, multiple episodes. Free agency is coming up. We have got to fix the offensive tackle position.
Yeah.
And the interior of this offensive line is set. Karras, Kappa, Volson improved dramatically. He had his typical rookie mistakes early in the season. He got better and better. He has a bright future. Listen, Jonah Williams, we know what Jonah Williams is. He's an average offensive tackle in the NFL. He's here for another year. His contract is guaranteed. Jackson Carman showed some promising things over the last couple games. We still don't know what Jackson Carman is. I like the way he looked. I hope he continues to develop. Right tackle, Collins. Collins has lingering back issues. He's coming off an ACL injury. We just cannot expect him to come back in and play the way Lael Collins normally plays. He struggled a little bit this year. This team has to find an offensive tackle or two. Adeniji is a quality backup. He's not a starter.
No.
Sharping has multiple starts in the NFL. He's an average guard. We need to improve our depth. We need to get an answer at the tackle position, because we did get an answer with the interior of that offensive line, and we need to protect our investment that we're about to sign to a $500 million contract.
I agree.
Those are two of them. There's multiple. Those are the couple big ones with me.
And we just saw Isaiah Prince just signed a futures contract. So Isaiah Prince, obviously no longer a Cincinnati Bengal.
The Broncos, correct? Was it with the Broncos?
With the Broncos. Yeah, the Broncos. So Isaiah Prince off the board there. He showed a little bit of promise, but he is no longer a Bengal. So I agree, that offensive tackle position, it's so hard to create depth on the offensive line. That is the hardest position to have depth at, right? Because right now, with the money that these tackles are getting, you can't dump half of your paycheck into the offensive line. You would like to, because it's one of the most important positions, but you just can't do it. It's not realistic. So the Bengals are going to have to draft very well at that position. We're talking about all these other positions that we have got, all these other guys that we've got to re-sign, and not one of them is an offensive lineman. I just don't think it's realistic to think that the Bengals are going to be able to go out in free agency and grab a big-time offensive tackle. They're just going to have to draft well. They're going to have to do a better job of drafting that position. They did a good job with Volson. Besides that, it's been a struggle to draft good offensive linemen with the Cincinnati Bengals, and they're going to have to do it because I agree with you. Adeniji, he's just so inconsistent, and he's done some good things here and there, but he is not the answer at all, of course. And Jonah Williams, again, too, like you said, he's struggled a lot these last couple of years. So he's a guy, although he is signed through next year. That right and left tackle position is going to have to be a focal point in the offseason. Because again, and Collins, I love the dude. When he's healthy, he's one of the top guys in the league, but health is an issue. And, that's something that you just cannot count on. So I agree 100% with you, Mon. I think offensive tackle position, it has got to be a focal point. And obviously, with the Burrow situation, you're right. I mean, the Bengals are not going to be able to do anything until that is done. That has got to be number one priority. And I think the things that we've read have said the same, right? Is that is a priority. For me, I'm going to go a little bit further than Joe Burrow, and I'm going to say the other priority to me is T. Higgins. And we've seen a lot of news about T. Higgins going to be traded and all this other stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, T. Higgins, I've said this from day one. For all of you that think T. Higgins is getting traded, you are wrong. T. Higgins is going to be a Cincinnati Bengal. The Bengals understand that T. Higgins is a elite player. And I know it's hard. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough keeping those guys. Mike Brown even talked about it earlier on that, they're trying to find a way to keep Burrow and Chase and Higgins and Boyd. They want to keep the band together. And I think it's possible, but I think that has got to be, again, nothing can be done till Joe Burrow, but they have got to find a way to get T. Higgins' situation taken care of. Because what did we see, Mon? This year he's going to be making what, 1.5 million or something like that. Is that right?
I believe the last year of his rookie contract is almost $4 million for T. Higgins because he was a second round pick. That's the last year of his contract, somewhere around there. Okay,
so obviously T. Higgins is, we want to make that guy happy. So to me, that's got to be a priority too. Is after Joe Burrow, getting that T. Higgins situation handled and taken care of, and not having to go into the summer worrying about what T. Higgins' situation is going to be, kind of like we had to do with the Jesse Bates thing. This team does not need any type of distractions. But obviously there's a lot of other free agents that the Bengals are going to have to. I really think this offseason, this free agent offseason, it's not going to be about who are we bringing in. It's going to be about who are we keeping. I don't think there's going to be a lot of guys coming in off the street as new Bengals. I think you're going to see the focus on Burrow, the focus on Higgins, and then looking at this group of players that the Bengals are going to try to bring back.
One thing I noticed at the press conference after the season ended, right after the game also, a lot of interviews with Jesse Bates and Jermaine Pratt. They want to remain in Cincinnati. That's refreshing to see because they know this team is loaded. They know they have a great locker room, this coaching staff. They love them. I'm not saying Jesse Bates is going to re-sign with the Bengals. They've tried for 2 years now. I would love for that to happen. But to hear him and Jermaine Pratt want to be here is amazing. And I think T. Higgins said the same thing also. Let me touch base on the T. Higgins thing. Mon on the Bengals Pulse wants T. Higgins to sign a huge contract and remain a Bengal for years. I'm all in on that. There's a lot of Twitter chatter, a lot of Bengal fans going back and forth. It's simple discussions. Nobody's wishing him to get traded. All we're saying is this. His agent is the same agent that Jesse Bates had. He's a really hardliner. He's a tough guy to negotiate with.
And Joseph Asai too, right?
Yes,
Joseph
yes.
Asai.
Boomer Esiason last week. I mentioned it on the last show. I didn't elaborate. On his radio show, he brought up the possibility of the Giants making a run at T. Higgins. This is what he said. T. Higgins is on the last year of his rookie contract. $2, $3, $4 million last year. He's going to want a new contract before the season starts. He doesn't want to take the risk of injuring himself on the rookie year of his contract. Now, this is just speculation on Boomer's part. He's not saying it's going to happen, but I think it's sound what he said. His agent is going to approach the Bengals. They are going to try to hammer something out. It would benefit the Bengals to do that with 1 year remaining, because the Bengals might say, hey, listen, we'll give you $15 million a year, $20 million up front. He might jump on it. Would I rather make $4 million or make 24 in 1 year with a signing bonus? So what Boomer indicated, same thing about the agent, hardliner Jesse Bates. Bengals haven't had good luck with him. If you've given a month of hardcore negotiations and multiple offers, and you know it's not going to happen, how can you not consider a trade? Let's go back to 2015. We had Marvin Jones. We had Mo Sanu. We had Dunlap coming up wanting an extension. We had Geno Atkins needing an extension. We had George Iloka, who was a highly thought of safety, needing an extension. The Bengals had so many quality players, and Andrew Whitworth.
Yes.
They couldn't sign them all. They couldn't sign them all. Why not, if you know you can't sign a couple, why not package them and get some draft capital and try to replenish your roster? The Bengals didn't do that. They didn't do it. In hindsight, that's a good thing, because that led to Joe Burrow. Okay.
Right.
But still, the Bengals have created an unbelievable roster. Duke Tobin, Zach Taylor, that front office has done a great job drafting. Jake, we're not going to be able to sign all these guys. We're not going to be able to. And there's going to be some Bengal players that's going to break our heart. They're not going to re-sign with this team. And so this front office, they need to consider, are we going to just roll with it and try to get another champion? I don't want T. Higgins to go anywhere. You can make an argument. This is going to be controversial. You can make an argument. He's just as effective and explosive as Jamar Chase. They're different players, but some of the things that T. Higgins does, you're like, wow. Yeah. Wow. They're both number one receivers. And the Cincinnati Bengals, some teams don't even have one number one receiver. We have two of them.
Right.
And Tyler Boyd is just a little bit below him. He's an amazing slot player. If Tyler Boyd was healthy for that whole game last week, we would have won that game. I really believe that.
I agree.
And listen, I just, something to consider. If negotiations get drawn out and they get really contentious, the Bengals have to at least consider it. If somebody, look, I would want more than a number one pick. I'd want multiple number one picks for T. Higgins.
Yeah, I know.
Right? I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not, and I don't want that to happen. But that's something that, down the road we need to monitor as fans, and the team's going to monitor also.
Agreed. I just think that you're right. I mean, you can't sign all these guys, and the priorities have to sit somewhere. And what we don't want to see is a 2015 situation where the Bengals get set back. Now, obviously, that setback led to where we are now, but that's not where we are now. We don't want a setback, right? We don't need a Joe Burrow. We needed a Joe Burrow for that, right? We needed that 2015 debacle to happen to get an elite quarterback. Well, now we got the elite quarterback. We don't need another debacle where, you're losing out on the opportunity to get draft capital and rebuild that offensive tackle position, So I agree with you 100%. Before we get out of here, let's hit this real quick. We're not talking about Joe Burrow. We're not talking about T. Higgins. We're not talking about Logan Wilson. We're not talking about the guys that we can re-sign now that are still on this roster. Let's talk about the guys that aren't. Give me your two top guys. If I could say, Mon, these two guys that you pick will be Bengals for the next couple years. Give me two of the guys that are free agents right now that you want to keep.
Current Bengal players or outside players?
Current Bengal players that are going to be free agents. Give me two of them that your two top guys. Not guys that are yeah, you understand what I'm saying? I'm not talking about the Joe Burrows and the T. Higgins and the Logan Wilsons or the Tyler Boyds.
Okay.
Give me two guys that are free agents that the got to be Bengals next year?
Von Bell, Jermaine Pratt.
Wow.
Von Bell, and Jermaine Pratt. The Jermaine Pratt situation, he played himself. He next to DJ Reader, you could say Jermaine Pratt was the best defensive player on the team. He was the best linebacker on the team, better than Logan Wilson. Jermaine Pratt earned a contract extension. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be with the Bengals. He wants to be a Bengal. He sent out a tweet yesterday. This guy, his heart is in Cincinnati. He wants to be here. Draft and develop. He's been here 4 years.
Yes.
The guy's gotten better each year. He is a very, very good player. Von Bell, the glue to our secondary, him and Jesse Bates. I wanted to say Jesse Bates and Von Bell, but Jesse's not going to stay. He's going to get a big contract. But we need Von Bell to help out Dax Hill, Tyson Anderson, and help out. Cheeto will be back. You're going to have Cam Taylor-Britt. You're going to have another high draft pick at cornerback also. Maybe Eli Apple. I'm not sure on that. But those are the two guys I want and that are scheduled to be free agents.
I'm going to give you my two. Von Bell, 100%. Von Bell is mine as well. I think, again, the Jesse Bates thing, I just don't think it's realistic. The Von Bell thing is, and Von Bell being a captain on this team, being a guy that is still got a lot of years left in this league, and is a guy, like you said, that can mentor this young defensive, the back end of our defense with, like you said, Tyson Anderson, possibly Alan George, possibly Dax Hill, wherever they end up playing, whatever position they end up playing. But that has got to be, Von Bell has got to be a priority. And I'm going to go with Hayden Hurst. And I'll tell you why, because to me, finding an elite tight end is more difficult than finding a very good linebacker. And that's I'm just talking about league wide. That's the case. Now, do I want Jermaine Pratt back? 100%. I want Jermaine Pratt back. He is an incredible player. Like you said, he quite possibly was the best or second best defensive player this year on the Cincinnati Bengals. He has earned a contract. He deserves one. He's been a great player for 2 years. To me, though, Hayden Hurst, it's just so hard to find a guy that, you can squeeze in, that does a solid job blocking, not a great job, but a solid job. But he is a weapon on the outside of this offense when you split him out wide, and he creates so many matchup problems. I mean, you saw Joe Burrow and Hayden Hurst have built this relationship now, and Joe Burrow is very comfortable with Hayden Hurst. And this is not a knock on the other Bengal tight ends, but after Hayden Hurst, it's a little different than after Jermaine Pratt. After Jermaine Pratt, there's still Logan Wilson, and Logan Wilson's pretty good. So, to me, Von Bell, Hayden Hurst, I want to see those guys as Bengals next year. I think those two guys have become, real leaders on this team, leaders in the locker room. Guys feed off of their energy. And I'm not saying that about Jesse Bates and Jermaine Pratt. I'm just saying those two guys, I think, are what the Bengals need to keep around for sure. And I hope Jermaine Pratt and Jesse Bates are also a part of that. But it's going to be so tough, Mon. It's going to be so tough keeping all these guys. It
is. It's going to be really tough. I agree with you on the Hayden Hurst. The one thing that the Bengals have going in their favor there when it comes to re-signing him, the free agent market this year is flooded with solid tight ends. There's a lot of really good tight ends that are going to be available. And the Bengals know that they could go shopping. I'm sure they would love to have Hayden Hurst return, but I think it's going to be at the price they offer. And he's played himself into a solid payday because he did play well this year. He really did. But There's a lot of NFL veteran tight ends that are available on the free agent market. And there's also a lot of quality tight ends available in the draft.
Yes.
It's going to be really interesting to see what they do. Let me give you a little bit of a hot take just to jump ahead a little bit here. I would not be surprised if the Bengals draft a wide receiver in the first or second round. I'm serious. If somebody drops, the Bengals love wide receivers. That would not shock me at all. And we will see come late April. We will see.
For the first time in decades, I do not want to see a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. I don't. I think offensive tackle has got to be the focal point. I think we have got to reestablish the depth at the offensive line. And I think offensive tackle has got to be that first pick. And if not offensive tackle, I think the Bengals have to turn right around and look at defensive back. I think defensive back and offensive tackle they should be the first and second pick. I don't care in what order, but those should be the first and second pick of the draft. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Before we go, Mon, Eagles, Chiefs. Who you got, Mon?
I'll say this. I believe the Eagles are going to win, and I think they're going to win comfortably. I'm not saying that because Kansas City beat the Bengals. The Philadelphia Eagles had over 70 sacks. They have amazing skill players. I think the Eagles are going to win it. They're going to win it comfortably.
Well, since I am the new head football coach at Scott High School and we are the Eagles, I got to say go Eagles, right? I think I'm with you. I think the Eagles are going to win this game very comfortably. I don't see it being close. I think the Eagles, and again, I'm not saying that because of the Chiefs beating the Bengals. I think the Eagles are the best well-rounded team at all 3 phases of the game in the NFL. I just don't see it. I just don't see this game being close. So like I said, go Eagles. I think it's going to be one of those Super Bowls where people are going to be talking more about the commercials than the actual game itself, because I think the Eagles are going to absolutely run away with this. All right, Bengal fans, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the podcast platforms, Stitcher, Apple, and Spotify. If you like this podcast, please make sure you give Mon and I that 5-star review. As always, follow us on Twitter at Bengals_Pulse9 and on Instagram, the same without the at. The same without the at, Bengals_Pulse9. And once again, as always, check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. Mon, any last words?
Yes, one last thing. Bengals Pulse is 1 day a week now. We're going to be every Monday night. Okay, yes. So just to remind our followers, it's not during the season. We're going to have 2 shows. Off season, we'll have 1. And I just wanted to throw that out there and remind everybody.
Yes, thank you for doing that. Yes, we will be here every Monday night, guys. Please check us out. Now, during free agency and during the draft, there will probably be some emergency podcasts coming your way as well. Mom, we might have to go 2 days a week during some of that period. But yes, absolutely. We'll be Monday nights right here on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. Again, he is Mon. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse. Hoo day, Bengal fans.
See you guys.
See you next week.